Hey everybody, just wanted to give you an update on my kitchen project. I've been working on one of the kitchen cabinets, one of the base cabinets. This is one of the existing cabinets that I have that I will be reusing. I'm not building everything from scratch, so we'll be using some, and this is one of the ones that I'm keeping. This one will be alongside the oven cabinet that I constructed and showed you earlier, and it will be below a set of upper cabinets. There's 3 doors. The issue being is that the upper cabinet was 58 inches after I cut it down. There was a bookcase that was alongside the upper cabinets, the 3 bays, and had a bookcase there with a set of doors that I chopped off because I needed the space to build the oven cabinet. So once I cut that piece down, it actually was 58 inches long. However, this base cabinet is 54.5 inches long, and so I need to figure out a solution to try to even that up some, because I don't want it to look odd when you put one over the other and it not look proportional. So what I decided to do was to create a filler strip here to kind of make it a little longer on that side, so that it would actually make the overall length a little bit bigger, and it would get me closer to the 58 inches. So I added an 1.5-inch strip right here. I actually back cut and back beveled the back side of that, so it'll actually make it. I cut it on a 45 on the back side, so when I actually butt it up against the oven, it will scribe a whole lot easier, and if I need to trim, I can just trim that little sharp edge, and I don't have a lot of sanding to do or filing to get it to fit nice and snug. Also added a little filler strip here, same width, 1.5 inches at the toe kick. My only concern is I was thinking about using a full piece right here, solid piece of poplar, but it was going to be a lot of work to peel this away and not damage the existing cabinet. Certainly could have been done. I just kind of felt like, well, maybe this is plywood rather than solid wood, so I'm hoping that the plywood will not expand and contract as much. And I glued and screwed this to it and tried to get as flush as possible, and then I'm going to sand this down as flush as I can and go ahead and fill the crack with some putty, and hopefully that'll take care of any issues, any crack that I might see. What else I had to do was, rather than have just 3 individual drawers here, I wanted a wider set of drawers and actually a better efficient use of the space. What I decided that I wanted to do was to remove this piece that was here. So I cut that down with the skill saw, and then I trimmed it flush with the router on both sides, and then I'll fill this in with some putty as well. Any imperfections, so you won't really see it, even though there's going to be a drawer there, so you really won't see the bottom of it. Maybe a little bit because I'm going to back set it, but for the most part, it makes a better use of the space. There'll be 2 drawers here, and then you'll have your upper drawers. And what I'm going to do is I'll continue to buy the 3 exact equal size doors. I'll just actually attach the filler strip that makes it look like that it's 3 separate bays to the front, to the back side of the door on this door. So you'll open and then open this one, so it'll have an overlap there. But once that's completed, you'll never know that it was that was done. That was just the way it was supposed to be. So the other things that I had to do to it was I blocked it out. I put some blocking in behind here because I want to put the drawer slides in, and I wanted the blocking because I didn't want to attach the slides to the face frame. I wanted to push them back a little bit so that the drawers are back and not actually touching the doors themselves. So if by putting the blocking there, I can push that a little bit further back, and it will fit a little nicer and not scratch up the doors on the back side. So really right now the next step is to go ahead and give it a good sanding and get all the imperfections out. And once I get the imperfections out, I'll go ahead and put some putty down and let that set up and dry. and then go ahead and give it the final sanding before I take it back into the house and put the countertop back on it and let my family continue to use it until I'm ready to actually paint. So next step is to go ahead and get to work. So we'll go ahead and do that. Hey, we're getting ready to sand, and just wanted to let you, just a quick thing about safety is to go ahead and, especially with sanding, I always use one of these dust masks just to kind of keep that out of my nostrils. I have allergies and I just don't want it, and it's just better for you, especially if you're doing quite a lot of this stuff. So we're going to go ahead and put this on and some goggles and get ready to work. Alright, so I think I got a pretty good scuffing on everything with 60 grit, and now I'm going to go ahead and putty anything that looks like it needs a little bit of putty, any holes and old screw holes and things like that, and just some gouges and things from the hardware, and just some spots that need to be cleaned up, and then we'll let it dry. This is what I've been using. It's Elmer's wood filler, paintable and sandable. It's been working good so far. We'll have to see how it holds up in the long run, but for right now, this is what I'm using. I think once I prime it, I'll use, there's some 3M spot putty, kind of like what they use for automotive, for any real fine stuff, and smooth. It's not as gritty as this stuff is. This is kind of gritty. It looks like it's got a little bit of wood shavings in there. So for kind of the bigger stuff, but real small skim coat stuff, I think I'm going to use that 3M spot putty that they have out there. I just need to go buy some. I haven't done it yet, but this is what we're using right now. Some folks like to use a putty knife. I just like using my finger for this kind of stuff. And I'll probably have to do maybe two coats or two filling steps. Because as this stuff dries, it does shrink a little bit, so it might not, it might have a crevice in there once it dries, so I'll have to do it over again. But I try to put it on pretty heavy, this first coat, so that I have a little bit of a buildup that I can sand down. That way I don't have to go over it as much. There's a little bit of a dent here that I'm having to fill in. I don't know how thick I can make this stuff, but I'm and try to build it up a little bit. It's not going to see a lot of wear and tear right there, simply because it's going to be a drawer and not a shelf any longer. You know, when you're dragging things out, it obviously gets some dents and stuff, but when you start using the drawers, the face frames don't take a beating like they had been for the first 25 years. So I think I got just about everything that I want to cover up in putty right now. I got a good coat on everything right now. So we'll let this dry. It takes probably about a half hour for it to dry, and then I'll give it a good sanding. And then with 100 grit, and then I'll go back over it with some more putty just to kind of touch up any areas that need a little more attention, and then I'll go over that with 150, and then it should be ready to go. I don't see any more items that I need to address at this point. And once that's ready, we'll go ahead and take it back inside. So I think this is going to be the end of this video for right now. Okay.